All right, so welcome back. This is the next video. What I'm going to basically be doing is the positive side of the build. Because the last video I'd already done the soldering of these bars and getting them all down, I didn't really want to repeat myself. So I'm basically going to combine this video with a capacity test video. That way it's just one video. The only difference I did on this side that I didn't do on the other is these are pre-tinned. So I went ahead and just put a little bit of solder on each one of these. That way when I'm soldering them, or when I cut these, the fuses, the fuse wire on here, it's just already there. You can just heat it up a little bit and it'll sink right in. So that's kind of what I'm looking for there. But you got to make sure you get a good solid soldering point as well. Like this one's a little sketchy because the ones next to the bars are always a little longer and sometimes they get impatient. But yeah, so what I'm going to do is kind of take a time out, plug everything in, kind of go over the settings for the K-weld on this side of it. And then after that, I'll go ahead and just time-lapse the entire thing. So this side will be done, and pretty much that will be it. There are two more things I'd have to do. Like later, there'll be an acrylic sheet kind of over this that wraps around. Like it'll come in through this way. So that way it's protecting everything. And also I have to put a voltmeter, which will go right wherever it's going to stand, like right here, so you can see it. And then also some extra cables for the bay trim when that comes into play. And that won't be for a little while. But anyway, I'll go ahead and get everything set up, and I'll try to show you exactly how I do this. And I'll be right back. All right. Okay, actually, really quick, I should show you this before I just kind of prompt mount the camera. So this is the K-weld, and those are the fuses. But you want the K-weld on the positive side, at least for this side. I did have it at 25, but honestly, the last few packs I've done, it doesn't do much, but 26 seems to be working a little better, so I've kind of bumped it to 26. But that's what I'll use for this to work. You get a really good soldering point, or excuse me, a spot weld with 26. And yeah, and again, I'm using these fuses. I'll just kind of put it right here. So if from the other videos, you only saw this bag full, but at one point I had 2 of these bags that were full. So to be down to this small bag, and just for the time it's taken, I actually cut these fuses because they're like that same wire, that wire end is on this side as well. But I have to cut a piece of it off and then bend it, because when I do this is how I lay it down, and then I put the electrodes on this thing and then hit it. And then I just bend this part of it over to this. But yeah, so that's kind of how that's done. They're 1 amp fuses. There's 240, so there's no way I'm going to use 240 amps at one shot. The most this will have is 90. So that's why it's just one is more than enough. And yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and get this set up, and then I'll show you how I do a few of them, and then I'll just time lapse the rest of it. All right, this might be a little difficult because I'm literally coming over the camera here. I got to find which one will work best. So if you can see, I'm just kind of putting one end here to hold it down. And this might not go well because I've never done it like this. The other side down. Remember, you have to push hard and then just hit the pedal. And that happens too. And that. That went terribly. All right, luckily I've counted these out and I have more than enough. I'm not even going to edit that. I'm going to leave that right in there. That was funny. Okay, so I might as well keep the same one. Let's try it again. And I'm not going to try to look at the camera as I do this at the same time. I'm just going to do it. So just like same thing, just a little bit spaced, push down. Wow. Finally got that, but I'm not going to do too many like that. But as you can see, I'm pulling here, and I cannot get this guy off. He is on there. That's just bad. But here, let me see if I can just get a good one on the first shot. Sorry, I'm bumping the camera too. This is pretty difficult. Anyway. So just kind of come here. Actually, this one's probably better. All right, so I'm focusing. Jeez, there we go. And these are the ones, the green Panasonics were the ones I pulled from the other wall, power wall. But I had to actually rip off all the solder from each one because I didn't have a spot welder at the time. So you can see this is really on there. And these fit the spacers really tight, so you can't really move it up and down like this one. So with that is very on there. So that's essentially what I do. And again, just keep it at 26. And what I'm gonna do now is just prop this another way, and just so you can see that I did it, I'm just gonna go through the whole thing and just time lapse it, and then I will show you how I just kind of bend them together so they connect to this, and then I'll just solder all these on. And once that's done, I'm done. There's a protective layer to this, little minor things you have to do, but the battery itself will be built. So let me go ahead and get that set up, and I will do the rest of these. All right.
You are my sunlight.
right, so now that they have all been spot welded on there, just kind of want to briefly go over what it looks like. So this is the positive side when it's done. Well, spot welded on. The next thing I'll be doing is the soldering on them. So I'll get a little closer here. So as you can see, they're pre-tinned. So right where these guys connect, excuse me, yeah, there, you'll see that there's already solder there. So all I have to do is reheat that, get it on there, and it's a lot quicker. The reason I didn't do it on the negative side is because the wire is so thin. Pre-tinning it, I mean, it helps, but it takes, to me, it doesn't save nearly as much time. Because I'll show you, when I actually do these, to get them to stay down, because you see how they kind of pop up, you kind of have to grab this side of it. That's the way I turn it this way, and push down. Like, I'll get the snip tool and turn it and pull down. That way it holds it down as it hardens. So I'll go ahead and get this positioned so you can see that. And then after that, same thing as usual. I'm just going to time lapse the rest of it. But once that's done, then we're really just on the capacity test. And then I can show you how all that works too. All right, let me get it set up and we'll get started. And just a quick side note, you should really do one of two things. Keep your K-weld a little closer to you, because the good thing about spot welding and then having to turn these and twist them and push them is you put a little strain on this, but that's good, because if they just pop off, then you didn't really have a good spot weld. But if they hold and they hold strong, then you're absolutely fine. Another thing to worry about is because these bars at the bottom curve, the last thing you want to do is have this, like your solder, touch the bar and then touch the bar up here, because then you're going to have a reverse polarity and you might pop some of the fuses. It's happened to me a couple times, but luckily it usually the solder is like resting on my finger. So because of that, I can feel it get hot. And not only that, it'll break almost immediately. So, but just kind of to be careful, I have my little makeshift spindle here, and what I do is I kind of keep it high on here. That way I'm coming across this way, and I'm never coming across this way, or especially coming across this way. So that's kind of what I wanted to say just before I got started. But I'm going to go ahead and start now. I'm going to try to get the angle more like this, because I really want you to see how I have to like grab it and bend it so it stays down. But yeah, let me get this set up and I'll start over. All right, so I got a little closer view. I took a couple different angles, but I think this is the best one because you can really see where I'm grabbing it and what I'm pulling down and how it stays on there. It doesn't. That's actually a bad example because of the bar behind it, but like that. So essentially that's how I keep it down. And remember, these might bend down, but they'll easily come back up. Just don't push real hard, but it will look nice at the end of it. I have the flux pen. I just don't think I'm gonna need it, so I'm gonna keep it by it, but I don't really think it's gonna come into play. So we got our soldering iron heated up. I'm gonna grab some solder here. All right. So we got this, we got the soldering iron. Probably should have got a little bit more prepared before I did this. And the reason I started with this side is because this bar right here, if you start here, by the time it heats up, this could come off, and then you got to work with that as well. So it just happened to me a few times. So I'm going to start with this guy, get it hot, and again, I'm going to try not to even use solder. But yeah, we'll see what happens here. So it is going to take a minute, and actually I should probably clean this guy off. And then what you're going to do is grab it right there, turn it down, and just kind of push down. You're going to wait for all this to heat up and just get completely liquefied. And then once it does, it'll drop right in, and I can show you. So even when it does drop, give it a little bit more time because the bar's still heating up. As you can see, it's going over it. I just need a little bit more time. And there you go. So now it's under it. I can't pull it off. It's on there pretty well. So then I'll come and do this guy next because the bar's hot. And with this guy, to be honest, I think I'm going to need solder because it's just not a lot of it on there. This part, when you're doing the positive side, the bottom bar part is by far, the back bar part is by far the hardest part, just because it's just, you don't have a lot of room. right now I'm just waiting. And here I kind of try to make it quick, because the last thing I want is for that to come off. All right, so that did work. I'll try this guy. And on these end ones, you'll notice that I'm being blocked a little bit by the zip tie. So just kind of let me lift up. Can you not see it? Nah, not really, but it's right behind that snip. As soon as it liquefies, and you're good. And you're essentially just gonna do that through the whole pack. Just grab it, turn it down, and wait. And the ones next to these bars as well are you just gotta wait longer, because you'll notice the middle two will go quick, and then you think, oh, the bar's hot, but it's just not. You're hitting the other bar too, so this section takes longer to heat up. So just be aware, because I think a lot of my loose solder points when it comes to this are those spots. I just get impatient, like I am right now. I mean, I can see it going, it's just going real slow. I mean, some people like doing it this way, but the more I'm doing it, to be honest, I like to just do it in one shot. No pre-tinning. I mean, it does work though. And to be honest, if I'm really thinking about it, at least doing this side is smart. That way you never come close to the bar. That is, you can see this is right there. So, I mean, that makes sense. So I just did these 4. It's really that easy. I mean, I can come across here, just gonna take a little way, but I can do a couple more. But like I said, you just grab like halfway up the fuse wire, and you just kind of don't snap it. You're just kind of resting it on there. You wait for it to get hot. It kind of falls just like that, and then you know you're there. Wait for it to harden, kind of give it a tug, and then you know you're good. Do one more. Oh. See how much it's moving like that? And it's not really getting loose, so that's when you know you got a good solder point. And remember, this one was set at 26 on the K-Weld. So that's it. And then at the end of that, say you get the whole row done, what you're gonna wanna do is just turn these up, like so. If I can grab it. And again, all this is being done on a TV tray, so the camera is gonna bounce a little bit. I can try to keep it steady. But I usually just push them up like this, and then once I do that, just come and snip them. So it looks like that. Actually, that one's... And what I usually do is go up a whole row, like a whole section here. Since there's like 6 real sections on this, I'll do 3, then flip it around, and then do 3 more. And then they would all look like this. And I'll show you. And sometimes when you do turn it, when you grab the wire and you push it down, you will push the fuse part down. Just lightly go under it and push up. And this is cosmetic, because technically it'll still work. I just like having a little bit of space before the glass is hitting the actual battery. But yeah, that's basically it. So what I'm gonna do is put this in time lapse again and go through the whole pack. And then once that's done, we are literally done. And what I did, the reason why this last video took longer than the other ones before, is because I just got really into building the packs. I really wanted to get this thing moving forward. There was about 9 of them. And as you can tell from the videos, if I'm lucky, start to finish, I can get one done in a day. Just because you gotta take breaks. Sometimes each section takes 40 minutes. So after you're doing this for a while, you kind of just need a break. But I knocked out a ton of them, to the point where this is the last one. So as soon as that's why it has a little bit more feeling to it, because as soon as I'm actually done with this one, I'm done. Again, not with I still need the acrylic part. I still need to do quite a few things to get these things up and running, looking good. And then again, the server wall, the server cabinet, that has to get done as well. And I've really been lazy on that one, just because I've been working on these so much. And then beyond that, so after this, I'm essentially going to be just testing them, the capacity tests on each one of them, and then also working on the server cabinet. So it'll be a lot of less what I do with the how to make the battery and more of where we go from here. And the channel is called, it's about a power wall, or a Tesla power wall. So that's eventually what this is going to do. This will only be used to charge and to charge my Tesla solar panels to these 30 batteries to my Tesla. So that'll be fun to try out, to test, and see how many amps I can actually charge the car, if anything gets hot, what the Baytrium does. So there's a lot of cool stuff coming up, but battery wise, this should be it. So I'll stop rambling now and and just put this in time-lapse mode so you can just see me knock it out, and then we'll go from there. All right. All right, so now that that's done, you can see what it actually looks like. Soldered, cut, and all done. Now, I've been doing this for a bit, and I have cut so many of these guys. And this was the first time, because I think I was just trying to hurry it up, that I actually, where you at? Cut it. So I actually snapped one, so I'm gonna have to go back and fix that. But yeah, so, but that's pretty much what it's gonna look like when it's done. From this point, we're just gonna do a capacity test. So I'll get that all set up, and then I'll kind of explain what that involves. But this is essentially what it looks like when it is done. All right. All right, so I'm actually going to stop the video short here. I did want to show you that I did fix this. So what I did here is you basically just rip this part off. It can be difficult because the solders can be pretty good. Or excuse me, the spot welds. As you can see, I couldn't even get that bottom part. And then just go ahead and hit it again, or hit spot weld it again, and then just reheat it. Add a little more solder, and then when you get it on there, it's good to go. But yeah, I basically wanted to cut the video short here just because I've been editing as I've been going, and we're already at 30 minutes. The last video was 40 minutes. I think the one before that was 45. I really am trying to cut these shorter. Right now they're long because of all the time-lapse videos I've been doing. And that kind of makes sense because I'm going over a whole pack. You got to understand that one half here is 40 minutes and the other half here is 40 minutes, and then I have to do the other side. So that's almost 2 hours and 40 minutes, and that's when I'm going fast. So usually about 3 hours is what it takes me to actually build one. But yeah, other than that, that's it. The next video will have the capacity test, and I'll be time-lapsing that. And I'll show you how I set all that up, what I use. I use an iCharger, but I'll show you all that. And we'll go from there. That will be one giant time-lapse video because it takes about 26 hours to capacity test one of these guys at 30 amps. So, so yeah, remember to like and subscribe. And to be very honest with that subscribe button, you can subscribe if you want. I'm not in here to make money or anything like that. To be very honest, I'm just here to kind of document everything I've been doing. I had been filming it, and I had enough of the people at the, well, back in the day, because I kind of stopped posting on there as much, but some people wanted me to actually film this and post it. So I started doing it, and to be honest, I started liking it. So, but the overall goal is just to document it, to say, hey, look, I did this one day when it's all built. I mean, at the end of all these videos, I don't even know if I'll keep going. Like the day these are completely built, and I have my car charging from these, like the solar is charging these. These are powering the inverter is charging the car. Once I actually have that, I'm doing it on a daily basis. I don't really know what else I'll be doing. But for now, this is where I'm at. Like I said, the next video is going to be the capacity test. We should get around 640 to 650. That's kind of the goal there. Anytime it's not, I'm gonna have to flip it over and check, or just check the connections. But yeah, and then after that, the server cabinet build, I got to get back on that. And yeah, and then we'll go from there. So everybody have a good day, and thank you for watching.